culture is not about having achievement offers, having Rangoli competitions or any of these dance competitions, right? That's not culture, right? Nobody leaves or stays in organization because of that.
Welcome to another insightful episode of Hired by IM Jobs podcast presented by All Things Talent. I am Akanksha, your host for today. And joining us for this conversation is someone who spent years in mastering the science and art of people leadership. She's been at the forefront of transforming HR strategies into business results while ensuring that employees feel valued and heard. I am thrilled to welcome Rency Matthew, People Leader India and South Asia, and MD Sabre Bengaluru. Rency, welcome and thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Akansha, for having me here. And, I get to speak my mind today.
It's been a pleasure having you here and taking this conversation forward. You've been a champion of people leadership, you've been a champion of cultures, and how people, culture, HR, and all of this is a part of the same thread. I want to start with my first question and start this discussion also. As someone who shaped cultures, led transformations, and championed people first leadership, you have a front row seat to the evolving role of the HR. With workplace undergoing seismic shifts, the expectation of the leadership rising, and the employees' needs becoming more and more complex every day, the question is not just about managing it, but also driving it. And as a leader, how do you personally approach this balance? And what are your guiding principles that shape your leadership?
So I think people is the center of it all, right? Like we say, heart is the most important part of the body.
Right.
Similarly, I think everything that we do, people are the heart of it, right? And I think what what needs to happen is that everything that you do, keep the people as the center of it, and then do
Right.
things around it. Right, be it the new technology which is coming in shape in terms of AI and all the analytics that is available, right? So how do we use these new technology and use that to work better with people, right? So it's not improving roles, it's actually improving people, right? How do they fit into the new world? Because the world is changing so fast now, right? The kind of generations that are coming in is very different from generations that are there before, right? So how do we manage people in terms of how what should be our managerial and leadership skills, right? How do they that need to evolve? How do we understand people? How do we give them an environment which is focused on transparency, their well-being, giving them a place where they can bring their authentic self? So I think these are some of the guiding principles that I use as a people leader, and what I've learned from my 2 decades of experience in the people world. And I would say that the world hadn't changed as much in, say, maybe my first 20 years, and compared to the way it's changing right now.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I think how leaders behave, how people leaders behave, uh, it's all changing and very fast, so that of course it requires us to be more adaptable and agile
Mm.
as we deal with everything around us.
Right. Absolutely, Renzi. You spoke of people being at the heart of everything that we do at workplaces. And this leads me to another important aspect of this discussion, which is around employee engagement. It is no longer about engagement surveys or workplace perks. It is also about building a culture where people feel valued, empowered, and also aligned with an organization's vision. Whether we accept it or not, but real change happens when leadership and business leader make it a priority too. As a people leader, how do you influence leadership to see employee experience not just as just any other HR initiative, but also as a true competitive advantage?
That's a great question, Akansha. Right? I mean, what you're basically saying is that culture is not about having achievement offers, having Rangoli competitions, or any of these dance competitions, right? That's not culture, right? Nobody leaves or stays in an organization because of that, These are just, I'm not saying I'm against it, but these are great forums for people to connect, and that's important, right? But people don't leave or join organizations for this, right? They join for the culture. And what is culture now, right? Now, culture consists of how does each person experience the company. And that's why people always say that you cannot copy a culture from one company to the other company, right? And that's because, culture is how, how do I experience. And when I say how do I experience, I'm representing myself as an employee. And I would say that when I say, am I feeling that my career is taking care, do I feel that I'm growing, how do I value my work, how does my value, what I bring to the table in terms of the work that I'm doing, my role, how does this fit into the larger goal of the company, how do I contribute to the goal of the company, how do I change with the changing environment, are there people who are open to listen to me, right? Am I able to bring my authentic self? Am I able to express my views at the company? Right? Am I able to make friends in the office? Right? And friends could be anybody, right? I mean, that I'm able to have a conversation with, right? Am I able to get all the information that I need to be successful at my work? Uh, as the bottom line, am I able to bring my best at work every day? And I feel rewarded and recognized for what I bring to the table.
Right. Mm. Renzi, what a valid point, making friends at work. And, not many people speak about it, but how much importance do you give to making friends at work? And how do you think it shapes the entire work culture and a workplace for any individual, especially freshers?
So I would think that, I mean, what's important is that when I get up in the morning, do I feel like going to office or not? Right. And that can only happen if I go to an environment which is very positive, where I have people I can talk to, I can work with, I feel proud to work with. So, to me, it's a very important thing, right? And the reasons why companies do a lot of these events where people can come together, not just their own teams, but they can also connect with people across, right? They have a lot of knowledge sharing sessions and all these collaborative events, and that's because that you feel good about coming to work, right? So that, two things, right? One, you know do I have a manager that I can talk to, right, and open my heart, and he or she gives me opportunity to open up and give my viewpoint in a office environment, in a meeting, right? Secondly, how valued and respected I feel in my office, right? And for times when I'm working with my team, when I'm having a coffee, I'm having lunch, do I have people that I can sit with and have a great conversation, right, without having this thing in my mind that am I being judged in this environment? So I think it's all about creating that positive environment, and hence creating that friends who you are able to connect when you have challenges in life, right? And people usually use this word called work life balance. It's actually work life integration, right? There would be times when my work will need more hours, there'll be times when my personal life will need more hours. And how am I able to adjust this on a daily basis? Because it can change daily, it can change weekly, it can change monthly, it can be seasonal also in some cases, right? So how am I able to adjust to that? Hence, do I have people, do I have a manager, do I have colleagues who are able to step in when I need their help? And that's what friendship is all about, right? So I just want to share that context.
Right. Absolutely. And Renzi, this connects very much to the sense of belonging, right? Everybody, they want to belong in an organization, while they would love to have to yield results for an organization. But if you feel inclusive, if you feel that you belong to an organization, I think that's the best feeling that any organization can give to their employee. And this leads me to this discussion in this direction. From your experience, what does belonging actually look like? And more importantly, how do you measure something, I would say, as intangible as belonging?
So, in terms of actual sense of measuring it, companies usually have, for starting from somebody who's freshly joined the company, new hire surveys. It can be from 1 month to 6 months to 1 year, right? To having engagement surveys, every year. But I think it's beyond that also. So while these surveys will give you data on how engaged the person is, but it's also, like I said, does the employee feel good about waking up every day and going and doing work? And we of course are in a hybrid environment, so it can be both going to office and working from home as well. Right. So to me, belongingness is that, right? How long are people staying with you? And like in Savor, we are celebrating 20-year anniversary this year, right? And we just did this event called Rewind, where we called at least around 10 people who have completed 15 plus years with the company, right? Who have been with the company from, like, say, almost from the beginning of it, right? So to me, these are the ways you measure belongingness, that these people felt there is a strong connection with the company, and hence they stayed. But how do we create that, to the second part of your question, right? How do we create that? Now that's created when one when I bring, and you also touched on being inclusive, right? Inclusive is part of belonging, right? If I'm seeing that I'm included in decision making, if I'm seeing that my opinions matter here, I can bring my own perspective, I can be authentic. I don't have to change myself basis the company or the teams. I can be who I am. My opinions are respected, right? I am recognized when I'm doing well, right? I have people that I can go and talk to. One of the other things that companies are also creating is this employee resource groups, right? Like, say,
Yeah.
many companies have women diversity groups. They can have various groups, like veteran groups is pretty famous in companies. There are people who also create groups like for fresher groups, right? Experience groups. There are mothers groups, fathers groups, like whatever groups, and we encourage people to create those groups. In fact, I have seen companies also having sports group, cricket enthusiasts, marathon enthusiasts, right? So what that does is that you have people with whom you can talk about what are your interest areas, right? You can have conversations with them, things that you like to talk about. And I think that's what creates belongingness, right? How the company is transparent about things, right? Things are not always good, right? There will be good things, there will be bad things. How did you manage the communication? How did you handle change? Because change is the most consistent thing in this world right now. How did you manage change, right? So there are multiple things that bring belongingness to a person.
Absolutely. Renzi, you mentioned change, and that leads me to another question. Around how do you, as a leader, and also a leader is also an employee, is also a person. How do you personally prepare for the unknown in an ever-changing environment? Things change, but how do you prepare yourself?
I think all of us learned this lesson during the COVID times, right? That adaptability is
Mm.
the most important thing, right? There is no choice but adapt when things change and hit you, or suddenly hit you, right?
Mm.
Sometimes you're not prepared for any of these things, right? But how do you manage change, right? So I
Mm.
think one of the most important things is adaptability,
Mm.
right? How do we prepare people for that, right? To me, communication is a key aspect of this, right? How do we
Mm.
communicate change to people, or how do we communicate uncertainty to people? I think one of the things that
Mm.
has happened is, right, post COVID also, and we still see the impact of it, right? New leaders come, policies change, right? It has an impact on how people perceive things. The world is changing, AI is coming. I think there's so many things that can worry you in this world, but I think as companies, there are a few things which is very important, right? One is, like I said, very open communication, right? On whatever is the change, be it good or be it bad change. How do we communicate that, right? Second important thing that people look for is emotional intelligence, right? How is your own leader been able to connect with you in whatever is happening in your life itself,
Mm.
right? Are they giving you the flexibility, right, to deal with whatever changes is happening in your world? The other thing is quick decisions, like I was talking about agile, right? So we are no longer a world where, like the old hierarchy method that we used to have, which is a top down approach, that the decisions come from the top and goes down. We have moved into a world where it's a collaborative approach, right? Everybody gives their opinion, you hear them, and then you use the collective wisdom to come with the right decision. And it needs to be an
Mm.
agile decision, right? Things don't wait for you anymore. right? You need to get proactive and try to see how do we deal with the situation. So I think these are some of the ways how we can deal with the changes that are hitting. We can choose to put things together, but the world changes and we just need to adapt to the change and
Right.
and be able to move quickly to the right direction that works with the new change.
Absolutely, Renzi. I feel, the way we work and the skills that we need, not just at work, but in life also need to succeed, are also changing, like you said, at an incredible speed. And I feel, and most of us feel that, it is no longer about being good at your job, but also staying ahead of what's coming tomorrow. So, as a leader and a people officer, I'm sure you don't just react to change, you have to anticipate it. How do you personally prepare for certain things, especially with regards to skills, especially with regards to preparing your team, your people for this change?
So I think one of the most important thing, like you rightly mentioned, is upskilling and reskilling. Right.
Right.
I think because the world is changing so much, you have to continuously keep upskilling your folks, right? And hence, continuous learning becomes your DNA, right? That there will be continuous learning, and you will have opportunities for people to learn and grow. Right. So that's one of the most important thing. Then second thing is that how do you strategize your workforce planning, right? Again, how do you change your hiring to the changing world,
Hmm.
right? How do you proactively collaborate with your leaders to see what is the change coming, what sort of a workforce will we need? And there is so much of data available, right? And there is so much of analytics that can be done basis that data, right? Because now you have everybody's skills available, right? Where is the so I think we need to give time for workforce planning, right? That what do we plan to do next year, and do we have the right skills? And if we don't have the right skills, what do we need to put in place for it to work very well, right?
Hmm.
So I think those are some of the ways that you can put in. And I think it's not that the data and the things that are happening around us is only available to us, right? It's also available to each of us, right? Because each of us
Hmm.
have so much of information hitting us every day, right? So I think it's important for every team member to feel that they have a voice and there is somebody to listen to them, right? And I think folks give such great ideas, right, of how to go about it, right? And that's why I said now in our world, the world has changed so much that it's no longer about one person deciding how do we go about it. It's basis data that is available, predictive analysis. It is basis what you're hearing from the market. It is basis what you're hearing from your teams, and how the groups takes the decision basis that and moves forward.
Right. And then see, when we talk about futuristic skills, is there anything in your mind beyond the hard skills? I'm sure organizations like yours are on the top of it, at the top of it, skilling their employees and preparing them for the future. What are the future soft skills? Because it is less talked about, but equally important for employees and equally important for leaders that you feel should be a part of everybody's kitty.
So to me, the leadership and management skills have changed a lot, right?
Right.
Uh, It's also to do with the different generations that we are experiencing right now at the work, right?
Mm.
Like we have multiple generations working together, right? And each needs to be dealt differently, right? So
Hmm.
very important that we constantly have leadership and management skill development for our leaders, right? Who are into people management, right?
Hmm.
That's one thing. The second thing is that how do we on again on the soft skill part of it, right? Emotional intelligence, I also spoke about that, right? How do we connect to each person? How do we make
Mm.
sure that everybody feels they are cared for?
I completely can't agree more. And the way things are changing, AI and the transformation that's happening with data and is affecting all of us is also redefining the way we function and the way we look at future. As per you and as a leader, uh, how do you think organizations can use technology to create hyper personalized user experience or employee experience in their case?
So absolutely, I think that's a great question. And coming back to the same thing that I was talking about before, right? I think it is about and you brought in the right word into the mix, that it is hyper personalized for each person that is there. There is no one size fits all
Hmm.
strategy anymore, right? So it is about what sort of flexibility that I can give to people, what sort of a benefits program that I can have people. Say, for example,
Mm.
nowadays there are many couples who decide not to have kids but have pets, right? So they have very different needs, right? There are many folks who decide to be single, right? So these questions on, how do we remove some of these biases which come basic for people who decide to be single, who decide to be single parents, right? So how do we give them an environment which is very inclusive, right? Because different people have different things. And now, how do we use this technology, right? I mean, again, like I said, there are systems in place where they can put their skills, right? How do we use that data to create personalized trainings for them? And career development is again not a one size fits all kind of a thing, right? So
Mm.
how can I say specifically work with Akansha to see what does Akansha is looking for, right? How do we create a individual development plan for Akansha itself? Because Akansha wants to be XYZ in the future, right? Now, how do I create that personalized experience for her?
Absolutely, Renzi. There are things that only humans can do, and there are things that machine are helping us do. So I feel there is a future for all of us where we grow together with technology and with human touch. And needless to say, we are going in that direction. Um, what keeps a people leader up at night? What are the things they plan to change? What are the changes they plan to bring in the organization, within the people? And what gives you satisfaction at the end of the day?
So I think it is also all about creating connections, right? Connections to your people, connection to your leaders, right? Like we were saying before, there's a lot of change coming in, right?
Mm.
But what is important is how are you managing the change, right? The way you're communicating, right? The various forums that I spoke about before, are those forums working or not? It's all about continuous improvement, right? What worked for one thing may not work for the another scenario that hits you, right? So how do you adapt yourself to that? And I always share this with my team, right? That when I'm sitting in front of the laptop, I'm basically attending meetings and responding to emails, right? But my thinking happens when I close the laptop,
Mm.
right? Of how do we need to do things, right? And that's where the human part of things come, right? What's coming in the future? How do we change with that? How do we partner with the business to see that things are happening as per the plans, right? How do we change our communication style? And like I was mentioning before, we also have feedback system for everything, right?
Mm.
Because different people need it different way, right? So how do we collect feedback from people and improve how we are doing things? Learn from one change that you've implemented. How will you make this change, for the next level? What sort of a communication needs to happen? I think one of the most important, I mean, I would say two most important things in any change for me is, one is communication, second is empathy,
Mm.
right. So if you have both these as the primary thing, and you use both these as your measure, right, then you can bring in change very well, right. And what keeps me up in the night is it's actually predicting basis what's happening right now, that what is going to hit you in the future,
Mm.
right. And are you prepared for it? And how do you prepare your organization for that future change, right? Have you equipped your people, your leaders, for that future change that is hitting you?
Absolutely. Renzi, you spoke of future, you spoke of feedback, and you spoke of learning and unlearning. And with your own experience, which leadership lessons have stood the test of time, not just for you, but your peers or other leaders? And which are the ones you had to unlearn in today's world, because things are changing and they will change?
That's right. I think the world is moving towards servant leadership, right? Whereas which is basically, how do you help your teams to be successful and grow, right?
Mm.
I think the world is moving to that, and I'll tell you, and from there comes the unlearning part of it, right? Because servant leadership, it was not something you just followed earlier. It's all about growing your people, leading them from behind, right? Let them be in the front, right? But you still take care of the times when they are falling, right? How do you stand with them when they are falling, right? Let them take the risk, right? Because sometimes you also learn only the hard way, right? Because you've not never done that before. So those are some of the things that I use, right? So I definitely think that the world is moving towards servant leadership, and that's the kind of style that we see right now also, and we will see more of that in the future as well.
Renzi, I go back to our discussion around skills. You spoke around how organizations are preparing their employees for future soft skills and hard skills. And there lies a pertinent question around cultivating a culture of learning and at the same time ensuring that employees do not feel overwhelmed with the change and overwhelmed with attaining to that change. How can we have that balance? And do you have a perspective here?
So, one change needs to be handled very sensitively, right? Second thing, like I was mentioning before, one is that you need to create a continuous learning, environment in your company. You need to have tools, resources for people to learn continuously. You need to have individual development plans to see how do they want to grow, what are the skills coming in the future, are they prepared for it, how do we prepare them for those future roles, right? So, if organizations adapt these things, a lot of communication areas, giving them forums to listen to people. Then when change happens, how do we communicate this to people? Listen to them, empathize with them, and not change is not always easy.
That thing.
Yeah, right. So how do you empathize for the times where you probably do not have control on that situation, right? How do you empathize, and what is the best thing that you can do? How do you give them a customized experience? How do you deal with each person differently, right?
Mm.
Those are some of the ways that we manage change.
Mm. And if you had to pick just one skill that HR leaders aren't focusing on enough today, but absolutely should be focusing on, what would it be?
I would think that I will use the same word that you used before. That is the hyper personalization, right?
Okay.
That there is no one size fits all. We are moving to a world, but everybody has a different need, right? So how do we bring that benefit to the companies? And I'm just glad to see most companies are moving towards that, right? Like I was saying, individual development plans,
Right.
customized learning programs, customized benefits, right? Customized flexibility for people, right? So companies are moving towards it, right? We just need to move, more and more focus on some of these areas.
Absolutely, Renzi. And your words and your perspective has kind of given us some glimpse into the way of chief people officer or people leader thinks. I feel this has been an enriching experience for me.
No, I think, Akansha, your questions were very pertinent, and I think we covered all aspects of what an employee goes through in a company. And I'm just glad that through these conversations, we were able to bring in some of the key aspects of dealing with people, because we started the conversation with the fact that saying that people are the heart of an organization, right? So how do we keep people as the center and do everything around people?
Renzi, you basically summed up what people leadership is all about. And thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your insights, your experiences, and your vision for what a great workplace should look like. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, to hear you, and to sit across you, if I may say.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was a good conversation with you, and like I was saying, I'm hoping that it's useful for people who will get a chance to listen to this.
Mm. Thank you, Renzi. And to our listeners, this is just the beginning. Subscribe, share, and join us for our next episode where we continue to explore the strategies shaping the future of work. Subscribe and follow Hired by IM Jobs on Spotify and YouTube.